The Kira Soltanovich Show.
No, you don't do it.
Hey, welcome to another episode of The Kira Soltanovich Show. I'm your host, Kira, and today I'm very excited to have someone that I remember from the early days of internet cafes and open mics and just crazy, crappy shows back in probably 99, maybe 98. Mr. Hal Sparks. You folks might know him from many things. He was on Talk Soup for a while, and he was in Spider-Man 2 and Queer as Folk for a long, long time, series regular on that show. And now Lab Rats. Lab Rats is a fun little show, a little Disney show for you. And a great comic. I endorse him on LinkedIn for improv. We talk about that. We talk about probably one of the most, I don't even know how to label it, Mikey Flynn. What would you label it?
He's like a futurist.
Yes, like a scientific podcast that it's way above my pay grade. I love the stuff, but I can't speak on it at all. But I can, it's like my Russian language. I totally understand more of it than I can speak. But he's fascinating. And I just love his take on parenting and comedy. And he's kind of like one of those comics that's, and this is in a good way. This is not a criticism, but like a contrarian. So like if you say something about stand-up, he'll be like, no, that's not the case at all. Like he's talking about like, applause breaks, there's no place for applause breaks in comedy. Things like that just, I love to hear because I love getting the other side of the story because so many comics, we're all a little bit like broken records. We say the same bullshit over and over, but not Hal Sparks. So please enjoy this hour and a half of Hal Sparks. Do you want cans?
Huh?
I know that you're a pro, so whatever you feel
I kind of don't need it unless we're taking calls. I don't need cans.
I might call you.
Yeah, right. You already called me a 27-year-old.
Speaking of periscoping,
yeah,
we should periscope this podcast.
Mm-hmm. It's a great way to. Wow, what a segue. Beautiful.
No, don't
so
you think?
Professional.
Are you on Periscope?
The Twitter video thing. No, I'm really trying to jumpstart my YouTube channel, so it does that to some degree I think liquefies the brand a little bit if you're doing that. I think you got to have a consistent attack,
right?
And if you're going to do that, then like I think like Instagram, like 10-second videos are okay. But if you're going to try and video anything as a consistent thing, I think, pick, if you're going to do Periscope, don't do YouTube. If you're going to do YouTube, don't do Periscope.
Well, that's why I'm not really doing a lot of Twitter because I want to build my LinkedIn.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Kind of really build that up.
Yeah.
So that people...
You want a lot of short messages from people you used to go to high school with, hoping you can get them a job in a field they're not qualified for.
Right. Yeah. It's a lot of like, it's a lot of endorsing for skills.
Yeah.
That's so ridiculous.
For abstract skills. It's not, because you could be an extra, you could be a director, you could be a producer, you could be a key grip, but you want me to endorse you for film. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Yeah.
What do you? All of a sudden, like you were an extra on Dude, Where's My Car, and I know you from that. Suddenly, you're ready to be Citizen Kane. You are officially Orson Welles because I'm endorsing you for film.
Or have you been endorsed for like so and so is endorsing you for your improv skills?
Oh yes.
Yeah. I mean, anyone can endorse you,
especially if it's an ex, which what they mean is liar. Yeah, you can make up a bullshit story in the middle of nothing. His improv skills are great. You should see him when I find a text on his phone.
Yeah, his excuses
are
and
amazing.
The space work that he does.
Yeah, right. He's just trapped in a box.
Are you friends with your exes?
Of course.
Oh, good.
Yeah, all but like one, maybe.
Yeah. We all have that one.
Sure, you should.
Yeah. I'm friends with all but one.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
How long have you been with your wifey wife?
We're not married, but
No,
I've been with her for
of course not.
Almost 7 years now. 6,
Is it going to gross you guys out if I take this off?
I can't wait to hear what people in the comment section below. Please put what you think she's removing in her giant boobied state.
I'm so sorry. I'm so hot.
No.
Oh my God, I'm so hot.
Can I have samples of that audio? That's all right.
So,
Mind if I take this off? My God, I am so hot.
I wasn't listening because one of my nipples fell out. But so you guys are not married.
Mm-mm.
That's cool. Mm-hmm. Is that what's the? I mean, I'm for it.
Yeah, don't do marriage per se.
Okay.
I believe in long-term commitment. That's not a problem.
Okay.
I just don't think I need the state or a church to verify it for me. That's it. I mean, it's that simple.
And is that something that because people probably know that you are one of the sexy liberals
It's true. Yeah.
from the Sexy Liberal tour.
Mm-hmm. I'm very liberal in my sexiness.
Very sexy. Is that where that comes from? Like, where is that? Or is it like?
No, I mean, I obviously gays destroyed the sanctity of marriage, and so I
Wow.
can't.
They destroyed a lot of things.
That's what I mean.
Glitter.
Clearly,
I mean,
can't have a unicorn anymore as a pet
No.
because everybody just assumes.
I can't.
So look, if I want to wear a pink half shirt and have a pocket poodle as a pet, I shouldn't have to answer all these questions going
Right.
through a mall in Kansas.
Right. I agree.
Right. No.
And can we have the rainbow back?
I think I do think there's an element of I don't want to get too Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie.
No.
about
That's
it.
what I want. I want.
Okay, right.
Yes.
I'll take my shirt off like Fight Club. It's I just think that anybody who saw my first special to Armageddon, I have a bit about marriage in that, and that it's really about property. It's about ownership of the woman. Even the modern marriage, how we do it, is a faded, film strip version of "I'm buying your daughter from you, and I will give you 4 goats, and the ring will show how much money this family has, and she will produce male child," like that.
I'm offended by that Soviet accent.
Yeah, I only did it for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, still.
Under normal circumstances, I would just make it a straight-up Middle Eastern accent because that's where the Abrahamic traditions are from, and that's where our current confines of marriage came from. But the idea that, marriage as an institution just sounds like such a dick softener. You know what I mean?
Is that something you also put in your laundry?
Huh? Dick softener?
Dick softener?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna find that in
A
Whole
lot of
Foods.
women put it in their laundry and they don't realize it.
Yeah. Okay, so that when you put your pants on,
Yeah,
you're not trying to shtup everything that
No,
you
it
see.
just makes it just sucks the life out of
Hey,
you.
Sally, how do you keep Frank honest?
Monogamous.
Well,
Same way I keep him bored in bed. I kill his sex
new
drive.
Tide dick softener.
Yeah, right.
Summer breeze smell.
It smells like my perfume. Right. Well, you've been wearing it for 9 years.
I'm gonna endorse you for improv after this.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Yeah, I make most of my shit up.
So you guys have a 5-year-old?
4.
Oh, our
And
kids are the same age?
Yeah. Here's our thing. Our kids are from different relationships. She's
Okay.
got a 13-year-old. I've got a 4-year-old. Not from the same.
Right.
Relationship.
But the 4-year-old you made with her.
Nope. No,
The 4-year-old?
he was a happy accident.
Oh, wait a second. I knew that. Oh, yes.
Yes.
So does he live with you part-time, full-time?
Yeah, part-time.
Part-time.
Split custody. Yeah.
I see. Okay, so your baby mama.
I don't use that term, endorse that term. I would not
don't-
endorse you
you
for
don't-
baby mama.
No,
on
we don't
LinkedIn.
endorse like LinkedIn baby
I'm
mama.
not a fan of that word, but that phrase. But go ahead.
How do we phrase it then? The woman that you had your son with,
My son's.
your son's
mom.
mother.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Okay, I was trying to keep it hip for the kids.
Yeah, sure, right.
I was trying to keep it
There are
2005.
kids listening.
Yes.
Can we go back and erase what I said earlier?
Yeah, we're gonna take out some of the dicks that we saw, right, Mikey Flynn? So you had a child with her, but were you guys in a relationship? No. Okay, it was just like a, hey, guess what happened?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, biology happened.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but, and her 13-year-old also part-time. Or
Yeah,
lives-
it's less part-time. She was married. I poached her from that relationship
Okay.
in matter of form.
Interesting.
I mean, she I'm not completely capable of decimating a marriage, but if your foot's halfway out the door, I can work.
Kind of tug on it.
Yeah. But I was like, she's a keeper, so I'm gonna extract her.
And where did you guys meet?
In Vegas, doing a magic show together.
Stop it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, the first time I ever saw her.
I didn't know you did magic.
Yeah, the first time I ever saw her, she was appearing in a fish tank. Yeah, she was working with a magician named Steve Wyrick, and he had this trick, and a lot of people have done it. Wherever you take two handkerchiefs that are both red, and you pull them out of your sleeves, and you do a little magic trick, and then you go over to a giant fish tank, and you put them in, and you start waving your hands back and forth, and then they disappear, and there's a woman in a bikini that's the same color suddenly appears in the water. It's a cool trick. That's the first time I saw her.
In Vegas.
Yep.
She's on stage.
Yeah.
You're in the audience.
Yeah. Getting ready to do a show there. And
I had no idea you did magic.
Yeah. I did a show called Celebricadabra for
Celebricadabra!
which is the best, worst name you could come up with for that thing. Yeah.
Who else was in it? Who else was a celebricadabrist?
C. Thomas Howell, Ant.
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
Nope.
Is this a show just live or was it televised?
It was televised, yeah. Yeah, it was a competition reality show because basically I get offered like competition reality shows all the time.
Why?
But I only take them because I'm funny and interesting and I will do anything. So they don't I'm kind of fearless about that kind of stuff. I will dive in, and that's kind of hard to find because quite frankly, most of the time when you're like, "Oh, we're voting you off in the first 2 weeks," it's because they quit. Like on those kind of shows, they either quit, walk off, or freak out. Yeah. So I get asked to do them, but I only say yes if it's a skill I want to learn or an experience I want to have. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like specifically, like I did celebrity duets, which was actors you didn't know could singing with real singers.
I do know that. I remember that.
I got to sing with Smokey Robinson and Gladys Knight and Dennis DeYoung from Styx and Sebastian Bach and Dee Snider and who's a good friend and has his own podcast. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Snyder Comments. And it was one of those situations, and Little Richard and Kenny Loggins and Richard Marx were on the show, and it was one of those things where, like, if you passed up this circumstance 15, 20, 30 years down the road, like I had a chance to sing with Smokey Robinson and I passed it up, I'd be a dumbass. So that's
No, you can't. You can't pass that up. And honestly, the only reality shows that I even have any interest in are the ones where there's some sort of skill.
Yeah.
I love Project Runway. I want to see them build a dress in 20 minutes.
Right.
Out
Designers,
of sticks.
Today you're going to make an outfit out of the skin of a 15-year-old girl escaping the persecution of her parents. Welcome to Project Runaway.
Is that a bit?
No, it is now.
Oh my God, write it down.
I've been joking about that for years.
Write it down. That's hilarious.
Project Runaway.
Or
Get in the van, contestants. Designers. The twist is you will have to eat your victims. Let's get started. So
I love that.
I do like those too. I hate that they are artificially manufactured because they throw this monkey wrench in because people without skill so misunderstand the actual skill that goes in that you can't just go on the pithy nuance of what actually is difficult about the task. You have to throw in some ridiculous thing that like middle states, country folk who use phrases like "he's a hoot" can understand about Project Runway because they don't understand. It's so funny to me. Like my mom's friends live in Kentucky all watch Project Runway, for example, but then spend the other half of their time watching Fox News and complaining about the New York elite. And I'm like, what the fuck do you think these are people vying to be a part of the New York elite you so adamantly hate.
90% gay.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, men and women.
Right, yeah. And just so kind of forceful about it. So to me, that there's an irony in that. But I like watching the thing and like, that's why I like Dirty Jobs or those kind of shows where I'm like, I want to see what really goes on. And, you don't have to go, P.S., you'll have to do it blowing up balloons. Like, like, oh, fuck off.
Well, I like watching all those Chopped shows, like anything with cooking, because, again, it's a skill. But the one show I don't watch is the one show that you and I live. I will not watch Last Comic.
Yeah, I can't. Fuck that.
I can't. And that's a skill.
It's a stupid fucking show.
But it's a stupid
bullshit.
show.
It's bullshit.
It's ridiculous.
Last Comic Standing is a fucked up insult to the art of stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
And the shitheels who run it, host it, write it, and make it happen need to be set fire to. Other than that, I have no opinion about it. I understand why the comics that get on it go on it because in this day and age, any level of promotion, push, whatever helps.
Right.
And I don't know how many friggin', he came in third on Last Comic Standing feature acts that I've had, open for me over the years, especially now. But stand-up comedy is not a time-scaled, teachable skill like that. You know what I mean? Cooking kind of is. I mean, you won't be able to improvise, but you can teach somebody to manufacture cooking skills in a short order.
Yes, and
you
also
become a cook,
taste,
not a chef.
Yeah,
in a very short time.
If they say spicy, then we know what spicy means.
Right.
So if you're adding vanilla extract, you didn't add spicy. Therefore, we deduct 5 points, or whatever their thing is. But with comedy, it's
so subjective and so personal.
I'm excited for the comics that have gotten things out of it and road work, and that's fantastic. But the process that they have to go through.
It's the new, you know what it is? It's the modern version of the 80s comedy boom that fucked it up for everybody, too. Because in the 80s comedy boom, everybody realized how much money you could make on a comedy club. It was cheaper than bands. You didn't have to deal, you only dealt with one member instead of 5, unless it was a comedy troupe. Most of the time, it's just one guy. It was way cheaper to run. It was a profit-making machine
less
for a while.
STDs, way less.
It's not been my experience, but because I'm in a band too.
That's right, you are.
Right. And there's a difference between the two. There's a very distinct difference, and I'll get to that in a second. But there was an 80s comedy boom, and there's a club on every corner, for a while. Like every 10 blocks in a major city, there was a comedy club or a comedy night at a club, and they ran out of real headliners to fill the place. So people who hadn't reached the skill level were suddenly doing this, and you get a lot of people who have 7 minutes or 20 minutes of material suddenly doing 45 to an hour.
Right.
And a lot of people leave the club going, I wasn't very good.
Yeah, I'm not going to come back.
And it keeps them from going to see the next person who might actually have the skill.
Right.
Last Comic Standing has that kind of same ramification on the art a little bit. Is that we saw one of the guys from Last Comic Standing, and he was okay. He just kind of talked to the crowd most of the time.
A great first 10 minutes.
Yeah. Or last 10 minutes. He used his
right.
He used the set we saw on Last Comic Standing as his closer.
Right. Because
he hasn't written anything since.
Yeah.
And then they won't go see the next person who's a real touring comic with a real act or a real, an actual chunk of jokes. So I'm hostile to the entire show, and I don't care who knows it. Last Comic Standing is to stand up what TMZ is to acting. You know what I mean? It's a peripheral adjunct.
Wow, I got to look up adjunct. Can you write that down, Mikey Flynn? All the words I got to look up?
Yeah. Also, comedy and music, though, I will say the difference.
Yes.
There's a major difference in the groupies.
Uh-huh.
And there are.
Yeah.
In stand-up, girls want you to be their boyfriend.
Okay.
In music, girls want to be your girlfriend.
Okay, what? Go slow.
In stand-up,
I feel like there's math involved.
Girls want to be your boyfriend
on the side.
Girls want you to be their boyfriend.
Okay.
And in music, they want to be your girlfriend.
Okay.
It's a very important, slight distinction.
Clarify, please.
When a girl finds you because of your music, she's parading you as I'm his girlfriend, and there's proprietary ownership, and you're fighting off other girls.
I see.
Saying, I'm his girlfriend.
Got it.
He's a thing, and I'm his girlfriend.
Right.
When you're in stand-up, they want the funny, nice, hilarious guy they can bring to family dinners and go, oh, my comedian boyfriend is really funny and interesting.
I see.
So I want him to be my boyfriend because he's sensitive and slightly broken, but not so much so that he's writing indie songs.
Right. And have you dated both of those?
Yeah,
you have.
I've had both experiences. And I've also had the actor-girlfriend situation as well, which is a totally different animal.
I could never date an actor, ever.
Sure you could.
No, yeah. I've done it.
Oh.
I did it.
Again, you mean?
I could never do it again.
So you're judging us all based on
all
some
of
bullshit.
you. All of you guys. I'm judging your black coffee without cream.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I judged you on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how were you raised?
Oh, this is new.
Oh.
Yeah.
I see. I blame the parenting.
What should I be drinking?
I don't know, but cream like an American.
Oh, I see.
Cream in your coffee. What's wrong with you?
Do you like a little cream in your coffee? Is that what you're
Look, that's how I got into this situation.
That's true. You did. You got you have a frappuccino going on. Right
Oh my God!
There's whipped cream on that and sprinkles.
You know, I hate talking about my fat vagina, but it just happened a couple weeks ago.
Oh, it's kind of extruding because it's starting to move, and your pelvis is shifting slightly, so
Yes.
you get ready for the baby to come out.
So it hasn't. It's
Don't care. Doesn't bother me. As a male, doesn't frighten me.
No.
Nope.
What if it popped out?
Nope.
Okay. It's not that it's nothing is popping. It's because there's weight put on it.
Yeah.
It's just.
Sure.
It's a mess.
Here's the good news.
Okay.
After the baby comes,
Right.
it will move back into position.
It will.
for the most
It
part,
did the
right?
first time.
Men's balls go south and stay that way.
That's right.
See what I mean?
Thank you so
There's
much.
a balancing act.
You've made me feel
I've always
so much
said
better.
that balls at their best don't look as good as a vagina at its worst, and that's kind of true. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh.
It's kind of,
You've really made me think already in the first 10 minutes.
That's what I'm here for. That's all I do.
I love listening to you on the radio.
Yes.
How is that going? What's happening with that?
Got my regular Saturday show
Yeah.
out of Chicago. WCPT Radio is my main station, and it's on the iHeart and all that stuff. And now terrestrial radio is a different animal than it was. It's a privately owned station, which is great because we can't be bought out or fucked over by Clear Channel, which is what happened to all the other progressive stations in the country.
Which just hurt me.
Yeah.
On such a cellular level. I was so
L.A.
angry.
Glenn Beck and Limbaugh are on in L.A. and San Francisco now because
1150,
Yeah.
which I listen to every morning.
yeah.
And I have Sirius and XM in my car, and of course we have podcasts, and we have our phones that have anything you want. But I would listen every morning.
Right.
And then it just all got fucked up.
Yeah.
And it's a shame. We don't have any progressive radio in LA anymore.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
So how long were you on there with Stephanie?
4 years.
4. So it was you, Stephanie, John Fugelsang.
Yeah. We all did-
Sometimes Rick Overton.
Yeah, I started doing Wednesdays. It became Hump Days with Hal.
Right.
That was my suggestion. That came because literally I had a stand-up gig. I was doing, like, I think Flappers had just opened or something like that. Or
Yeah.
I was doing a gig at a real one-nighter at the Improv. And there, ironically enough, in this city, in L.A., there is no press to do to promote a gig. You know what I mean? Like,
Really?
Yeah. I mean, think of it. What is there? KTLA Morning News, and that's it. Like, and if you can get on,
I did Kevin and Bean for
there you
my
go.
special.
And I did Heidi and Frank, but that was
Yeah.
for your special, not a show.
Right.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
Like you go do stand up in another city,
Right.
You'll be every radio
Oh,
station,
yeah.
every the local TV twice that day on Friday.
Have
or
you ever done
Thursday.
those cities where it's like the country station wants you, the wrestling station
Oh,
wants
yeah.
you? They all want to promote.
Yeah,
'cause they need to
exactly.
fill time. Yeah.
Yeah. And in LA, there's none of that. Plus, everything's free, so everybody takes it for granted. It's like LA is a complete city full of teenagers who download their favorite artists and then wonder why their artists are going broke or can't put out albums regularly.
Yes.
P.S. Fuck you. And so nobody shows up to a gig. I mean, you have to promote so much harder in L.A. to get people to show up. So there was nothing. So I listened to Steph's show a lot every day. So I was like, she's here. Why don't I call into her show and promote a local, gig? I'm sure I could manage to do that. And she said, I think begrudgingly okay, mainly because of Queer as Folk. And she was still in the closet at the time. And Chris Lavoie, her producer's out and gay and knew of it and spoke very highly of the show. So I think that was mainly how I ended up. So I'm on hold. And I think they forgot about me. And I was on hold for a good 20, 30 minutes. And it was just when the Affordable Care Act was being debated in Congress. And everybody was going, nobody has read this. Remember the wagging about of the Affordable Care Act, of Obamacare. And nobody's read this. Well, I read it. And I read it, the whole thing, cover to cover, because I was so annoyed that everyone was saying, no one has read this. I was like, okay, I'll read it.
You read it in the time they had you on hold.
No. I read it. I had read it weeks before.
Okay.
But I could have reread it in that amount of time, skimmed. But the reality is that anytime a bill, when somebody goes, nobody's read this, there are committees that have actually gone through every single segment of it that have talked to their caucus, gone back and done that. Nobody reads the bill cover to cover because they shouldn't have to. They got representatives in their own caucuses, both Republican and Democrat, that go through the whole thing and break it down and then explain to their group what they want to get fixed and what they don't and go back and forth. So the idea that it's all there. They know exactly what the fuck's in it. It's the same thing about defense appropriation bills. They're larger than the ACA. They sign one every year. It happens. It's all gone through committee. So it's a lie. Whenever they say, no one's read this, they're full of shit. But I read it because I was mad. I'm on hold, and I'm listening to Republicans calling in, going, it's the end of America, and liberals calling in, going, we need single payer, and this is bullshit. And I was, both of them were wrong about what was in it. None of them knew what they were talking about. So when I went on, I didn't end up promoting my gig at all. I ended up speaking for like 20 minutes on what was actually in the Affordable Care Act, and what it would, and that I actually think it is a precursor to single payer, which it is. And it's like the, and that's why the Republicans were freaking out, not because of what was in it, but because it would, what it would trigger.
Right.
And so they asked me to come back and talk about it the next week, and then it became a semi-regular thing, and then we started calling Hump Days with Hal, and then I started coming into studio, and then I'd do the whole hour.
And then you'd take over sometimes.
Yeah, I would fill in.
If she was out of town or whatever.
Right.
And did Stephanie always do stand-up? Because you guys came out with that...
Not really.
Sexy Liberal tour, which I thought was genius.
Yeah, she kind of did it Karen Carpenter storyteller style. She'd have a music stand and her jokes written on there, and she'd kind of talk openly. It was a little more her speed. She did stand-up back in the day, but kind of in the same way that like Paul Rodriguez did stand-up back in the day. Paul Rodriguez started doing stand-up because they were looking for a lead in the series, a.k.a. Pablo, and they wanted a stand-up, but there weren't that many Hispanic stand-ups at the time. So apparently he went and just bought a bunch of jokes that would fit whatever, rehearsed them like a monologue, and did stand-up, and then had the casting people come see him. And then all of a sudden Paul Rodriguez is a stand-up, and he's got to kind of match that thing. And he's, he's very good at it, but it took him a long time to catch up with the perceived level.
Interesting.
He went through his own Last Comic Standing kind of period.
Right.
Here he is doing comic relief because he's in this series, and it's a narrow field.
And when you started, you didn't have your kid yet.
Started on
the radio. No, because it was a while ago.
Yeah.
And were you always so liberal? Like, were you always progressive? Did you do political stuff in your stand-up? Because I remember you. Mm-hmm. It's hard in LA, like when you start, to like who's in your comedy class, so to speak. Not class system, but like you're like almost like your graduating class type of thing.
Sure.
And I just think like, well, who was around when I was doing the shittiest gigs?
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's where you have to start from.
Yeah.
And we were doing like a lot of just cafes and buy a croissant to get stage time type of shitty gigs. And I don't remember you being, political at all.
Well, my stuff, even my modern stand-up isn't political. It's socio-political, because I actually believe you can't affect mental change through political comedy directly. I think you end up preaching to the choir and alienating part of the crowd.
That's what I was going to ask you. What kind of crowds came out? Everyone that's just like, we agree, yay!
Yes, right. Well, we had some Republicans come out to, like, we got picketed. We got a fire alarm, called in on one of our gigs at Boston because we had to be out of there at a certain time in this particular theater, and they knew it, so they could cost us $20,000 by making us go over if they called the fire department on us and that kind of stuff. Like, all kinds of shenanigans. That being said, my stand-up at the Sexy Liberal show was completely different from my regular stand-up in that it was 100% topical there. I did, because I believe...
Just like political stuff and
what was going on then.
The presidential race.
Borderline improv, but, I write jokes and I craft jokes, but those particular shows, I was like, this has to be ripped from the headline stuff. But I go out freewheeling it. I don't have notes or anything like that. I just have to go. It's a 20-minute, 25-minute set.
Yeah.
And so I just bulldoze. And so what I do is I try to come up with like 35 minutes worth of material, stuff that I want to talk about from that week.
Oh, okay.
And then I kind of list it in my head, and then I bulldoze. But back to my stand-up not being political. My stand-up is incredibly political. I just don't use the buzzwords because it shuts your brain down. One of the things, like, for example...
It gives you a soft dick.
I had an overt moment.
What was it called? What was the product we called?
Oh, dick softener?
Dick softener.
Yeah, right. It's a dick softener. During the Bush years, there were a couple of times where I just fucking had it, and on stage I kind of needed to go after this cunt, and I really had to call him, out Bush. And I realized that by doing that, I was The people that I was very much trying to reach, their ears closed like the fucking doors on the Death Star. You know what I mean? They just shunk and they're not hearing. And it wasn't because they wouldn't agree with me. It was because if you joke about the president, the terrorists win. If you say Bush is and Cheney are dangerous warmongers, the terrorists win. And I understand that fear, and I understand what they were going through. So I was like, how do I reshape what I'm saying so that it gets in past the critical security guard that is guarding their subconscious? So instead of, that's where I actually wrote a bit about.
And how do you do that?
Well, I started by writing bits about guys in cowboy hats who don't have any cows. That it's an asshole hat. You know what I mean? He's selling you something. You know what I mean? There's only one kind of guy who wears a cowboy hat and doesn't have cows, and he's a car salesman, and he's trying to fuck you. And that was it. And I never mentioned Bush in the whole thing, but I created this kind of, hey man, podunky kind of dude that you'd have to be a total dunce to not know that I was talking about Bush and his brush clearing crap that he was always doing. But what it did was laid the seeds for the next time you saw him talking and he was wearing his dumbass cowboy hat, selling, even though they're from Connecticut, selling this Texas lifestyle, veneer. You couldn't absorb it the same way. You know what I mean?
That's smart.
And so one of the ways you can promote gay marriage, for example, I believe, is by undercutting the value of marriage overall. Because the certain people who don't want gays to get married, if you lessen their attachment to it as a religious thing and more as an institutional, mechanical, tribal thing, which is exactly what it is, their grip on Jesus hates it if this happens kind of loosens a little bit.
Okay.
And it's not that I'm really going to undercut the value of marriage, but I'm loosening the particular latch point that they have on the ideology.
That just seems so impossible to do in this country.
It's not.
It's not.
Super easy.
Is it?
Yeah. That's what I mean. It's not. You're ice skating uphill if you're trying to overtly. I just did a little thing on my YouTube channel about with Mark Savard. He's a comedy hypnotist who also does like hypnotherapy, and I went to him last year, and just to remove some blocks that that are subconscious that I have clearly that we all have.
Right.
And I was just like clean soup, and I was like I've tried every possible methodology over the years to kind of get rid of these roadblocks I'd set in my own way. How do I do it? How do I get past them? And he said something really smart, which was, you're trying to fix something subconscious that on via a conscious level. Okay.
So you have to fix it subconsciously.
Yeah. And so if you overtly attack it or overtly go after it, you're never going to do it. It's like, and the analogy I came up with while we were talking was, it's like trying to fix the rudder or the propeller on a ship without ever getting wet. You're trying to stay above the water without ever fixing it. And so in doing real societal change with your stand-up, you have to go about it under the radar to the point where you're not getting applause. First of all, I think applause in a stand-up setting is a terrible circumstance.
What?
They can applaud the show
That's
at the
like
end.
not making sounds during sex.
No. Laughter is what we're after, not applause.
I applaud during sex.
Well, I've had that happen to me, but I've never done it myself.
You don't applaud yourself?
Yeah,
Do you
all
high
three of
five
them
yourself?
were like,
All three?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Sparks. Sip break.
I love that you think I'm kidding.
Oh, come on!
Yeah.
How many threesomes have you had?
That would be a foursome.
What?
And none of your business.
A foursome?
I'll tell you
It
after
is
I'm no longer on a Disney show.
Oh, you're on a Disney show right now. All right.
So
you can only have like twosomes.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
The
got it.
old-fashioned. Good old American one-on-one.
Twosomes.
Quasi-monogamous sex.
Got it.
Yeah, we're monogamous now. We just we're technically polygamous, but we do it in a line. We're monogamous one at a time in this society. Everybody has an ex.
Right.
Nobody's monogamous anymore. Monogamous meant one person, that's it.
I see, forever.
Now I'm monogamous with this person, and then when it doesn't work out, I'll be monogamous with the next person. It's chain link monogamy is what we practice these days. That being said, I just think I named my special Charmageddon because I realized that I was able to wreck people's social and political and psychological concepts and still have them like me. That was the goal. That they come away going, I like him, even though I totally disagree with him, and he destroyed my ideas on marriage, on religion, on social arcs or whatever.
Right.
I want to come away, I want it to be a positive experience, because in comedy, laughter is the first job. A lot of things, I think a lot of comics mistake either meaning or impact for the first job. It isn't.
Right.
Laughter is always the first job.
Yes.
That's the nature of this job. Otherwise,
Yes.
you're a philosopher.
Right.
Stand-up philosopher. Oh, a bullshit artist. Anybody? 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 History of the World Part 1?
Yep.
So I realized that if I really wanted to make a political impact, I had to be covert about it. I had to sneak it into your head.
Right.
Because that's what comedy is. It's sneaking change into your head. It's not overt. It's not a bumper sticker on the back of your fucking Volvo. It's a joke. And a well-crafted joke that makes you go, oh, shit, right.
Right.
I am full of shit on that level. Or I am doing something stupid repeatedly that I don't like or don't want to do or don't agree with.
Did you grow up in Kentucky as a Democrat? Like your family Democrats?
Yeah. Yeah, of
They
course.
are.
Yeah.
I just don't see that being
Not anymore.
viable in
No,
Kentucky.
I mean, unfortunately, the concept of what is the Southern gentleman is now dead, because it used to be that a Southern gentleman was actually a highly educated human being, well-read, well-thought out. Thomas
Right.
Jefferson would qualify as a country gentleman.
Right.
Estates, businesses, intelligent, having sex with his slaves notwithstanding, a well-read human being who read the Bible and the Quran, did his own edit on the Bible, took all the miracles out because he thought that was extravagant bullshit added by the writers at a later date, which should be the actual name of the Bible.
Extravagant bullshit?
Added at a later date. Yeah.
But so you grew up pretty liberal.
Sure.
Okay. I thought maybe this was new.
No.
For some reason.
No.
This is like from childhood. This is your parents, pretty liberal.
This is just me. I just didn't. I mean, I was surrounded by racism and sexism and homophobia and all that kind of stuff.
Well, that's
but it was
because you
alien.
live on the West Side.
Huh? Yeah, right. But in Kentucky, for sure. Like I have a joke in my act right now. And I talk about learning to drive, which is a almost 40-minute single bit.
Wow.
It's one bit.
That's impressive. I'm already jealous.
And it's based on a concept I learned from listening to Woody Allen talk about comedy, which is write a joke that you really like and then get as far away from it as you can and try to get there. Back way the fuck away from it.
Okay, give me an example.
Like he was talking about, his joke was every time he's in his apartment building in New York, every time if he's taking a shower, if anyone in the tri-state area flushes their toilet, he gets scalded.
Right.
That was the joke.
Okay.
Right? And it was a relatable joke, but a single joke, but not that big. He gets to that joke by starting with his, I've got my first apartment, after leaving college. But my parents had, raised us in a closet in the Lower East Side, under some clothing of the local rabbi. We lived in a pocket for 7 years, whatever. And the point being is that he got all the way back to his childhood,
right,
and got a run at that joke. That joke is not that great standing by itself, but with a lineage of I've always had the dream, of having my own apartment, that kind of idea. Then when you get to his dream has come true, and then the same shit happens to him that happens to all of us.
Right.
Suddenly that joke is gigantic.
Interesting.
But in the context of that, I talk about, local drivers in whatever market I'm in. And it's a lead-in into that. And I get as far away, and I go back to when I learned to drive, and I learned to drive when I was 13 years old. In the context of telling that story, I talk about how when I was 6 years old, I learned, I grew up, I was lucky enough to not grow up racist in an area that was at the time especially very racist. And there were these 3 old rednecks that used to hang out in front of our general store that were, I have to thank for that. And it's not because they weren't racist. They were horribly racist. But their accents were so heavy, I didn't understand the derogatory term for black people that they were using. I thought they were saying nickel. When I was 5 years old,
These
I thought they were
goddamn nickels.
Yeah, nickels have a well nickel down now. These nickels is nickels, and I was like, and it bugged my brain. It because the seeds fell on sand. My brain rejected it because I was like, what the fuck are you talking about, nickel? What do you mean?
Well, nickels are annoying.
But
because they're bigger than dimes, but they're
worth less.
Yeah, it's
but at the same time,
obnoxious.
I literally and this is a true story. At 5 years old, I was like, why wouldn't they call them pennies? Because it's the lowest denomination of coin. You don't think very highly of them, so that makes sense. It's got Lincoln on it. You fucking hate him, and it's the only coin of color. I was 5, and I figured that out. So this bugged me. But that was why I didn't grow up with that term embedded in it's okay to use it. Because my logic rejected it.
Next time I see a black person, I'm like, nickel, please.
Right, that's right. There you go.
Can I do that? Can I?
Yeah,
All
sure.
right, it's okay.
Let me know how that works out for you. You're pregnant, so you should be fine for a little while. But that's true. But that's about getting as far back from a joke that would have a level of commonality about it and getting a run at it. I have literally done a version of the learning to drive bit where I've run out of show. I've not actually gotten to my set.
Like you get the light and you still haven't gotten to the big closer.
I haven't even started
what?
The material for the rest of the stuff I was going to do. That bit gets so stretched out and has so many laughs in it and has so many jokes. I'm crowbarring them in as fast as I can.
Right.
I love jokes you miss.
Yeah.
I like ripple laughs. I like the joke, and then 2 jokes later, you're like, oh, what the fuck did he just say? You know, like,
right.
And you get the comedy echo, which is like, he said his mother, you know, that kind of business.
That means Jews are in the audience.
Excuse me. Jews have not cornered the market on that.
Jews are constantly repeating jokes louder to someone else.
Older Southern people. It's the same. Look, I got news for you. All the followers of the Abrahamic traditions, Jews, Muslims, and Christians, are the same fucking people.
Come on!
They're all the same.
Come on!
At one point in society, Jews had cornered the market as immigrants who were outcast, who were vital to society, but not actually integrated.
Those are all in my wedding vows, what you just said.
Exactly. No longer true. Sorry.
What?
No longer true.
Not
in an intrinsic sense. No, not on that level. I mean,
can't we still have high anxiety?
The movie?
No, just the trait. Can't Jews still own criticism? Come on, don't take that away.
No, because Catholics have it too, and they build it.
Hal Sparks.
The Irish have it. The Irish and Jewish sensibility is almost identical, and especially during a period in American history where they shared almost the same societal traits as far as acceptance and non-acceptance in society.
I would much rather have an Irish nose. All right, don't give me this. This is a load.
You have a Russian nose, anyways.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Eastern
saying.
Europeans has nothing to do with Judaism. There's tons of Austrians.
Oh, you don't think this has anything to do with Judaism? Well,
first
this
of
is
all,
not a Dubliner's nose.
First of all, I have been to all over China, and there are Orthodox Chinese Jews.
Yes, there are. Which is
end of conversation.
Mind blowing.
I win.
Why those people are just they are lost. How did that even happen?
Says a woman about members of her own religion.
So you don't have a religion, right? You're not religious. I want to talk about.
No, I don't actually think God can fit in the human corpus callosum. I don't think it makes it impossible that it exists. I'm what I call a power agnostic. But
is that how you're raising your kid?
Huh?
Because it sounds like
no.
a
I'm
superhero.
raising my son to worship Crom, the god of Conan. If you want to know what my idea of fatherhood is,
I do. That's why you're here.
Watch Conan the Barbarian.
Okay.
And the opening monologue where his father is explaining the god they worship and the riddle of steel to his son, who sits there pleased but dumbfounded at his barbarian father explaining to him.
But your kid's 4, so has he started to ask about stuff? No,
of course not.
Because my kid's 4.5. He just started to ask about where my grandmother is, who, by the way, live to 101. So I told him that because that's a pretty cool thing. I said, but now she's not here. We can't like physically see her, but I feel her, and I'm trying to get esoteric with him. I don't know where to draw the line.
Oh.
And he goes, so what do you mean? She died? And I said, well, yes.
Physical expression of a spiritual being is a temporary thing, and it is becoming that temporary period is becoming longer.
He lost his mind.
Yeah.
He started crying so hard. He said, does that mean you're going to die one day? And I was like, we are sitting in the Target parking lot. This is not the place for this at all.
Right. Well,
but as you know, there's never a place. So I just,
for a deep kid question.
I was looking at him through the rearview mirror because I was looking for a parking spot, and I said, well, I just kept saying over and over again, we're humans. So that's what humans do. That's eventually.
The good news is you're going to live a lot longer than Nana or whatever.
Right.
Called her.
And he said, does that mean I'm going to die? He cried. Alligator tears. I've never seen him cry so hard in my life. I said, you don't have to worry about that right now. We're just going in to get paper towels at Target. Like, please, what's going on? Why are you so upset?
He's not upset that he's going to die. It's that he's wasting his fucking time getting paper towels at Target if he knows he's limited. Because that's what you're crying about. You're not really crying that you're going to die.
I also bought him a toy because I felt so bad.
Yeah. Nobody fucking cries about what they're going to die. They cry over the wasted time and the things they're going to miss.
But why?
And they're not going to miss getting paper towels at Target.
What are you teaching your kid? I mean, can you teach your kid at 4?
No. His brain can't.
They can't handle it.
No. And it is perfectly.
But you can teach him to be a liberal.
Sure, of course.
I teach my kid that sometimes people
I teach him
need
to be kind.
Yes.
And the liberal thing falls out of that naturally.
Right. But like we talk about, sometimes people don't have a place to live.
Sure.
So what do you say when your kid says, why not? Do you say because President Bush fucked it up for everybody?
No, it's Reagan. I go all the way back to Reagan.
You take the joke all the way back, like Woody Allen.
Back way fucking far away.
Reaganomics.
And I make the case that there's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of reasons why people end up without a house to live in or an apartment to live in, and we have to do our best to make sure that we can be as helpful as we can to help anybody who's in that situation.
Yeah.
Find one.
Right.
And so whatever we can do, if you can think of something that will help them, you tell me, and we'll do it. And if you can't, we'll just do what we can do. Which, if you want, we can go help feed some people. If you'd like, we can help. When you get older, we can go help build a house for people to live in, and we can do our part together. We'll do Habitat for Humanity. He can, once he's 10 years old or so, he can come help us build a house.
We once gave a homeless person at the end of an off-ramp, we had 2 bananas, in the front seat with me, and I said, hey, you know what? There's a guy here who looks hungry, and I'm reading his sign that says he's hungry. Can we give him one of our bananas? And my kid said, okay. And then I gave him a banana, and then right as we drove off, he just freaked out. He was like, that was going to be my banana. And I said, but we have one here. We had 2.
You can't. No.
And he lost his mind. And I'm like...
First of all, he didn't lose his mind. He never had his mind. Don't confuse children with adults. It's a dickish thing to do.
Okay, but
understand that your kids... his entire prefrontal cortex is gelatin right now.
Okay.
He does not have a moral compass, nor should he, because it's dangerous for him. If he was left on his own, he would have to scrounge, and you can't scrounge if you're like, does everybody have enough? His prefrontal cortex will not be fully formed until he's 22 fucking years old. So you're arguing with someone who is mentally deranged up to that point to some degree, to a lesser and less degree.
Okay, you're right.
But at 4, 5, 6, 10, 12 years old, they have different strategies to make sure their brain grows. You can guide it like a bonsai tree, but you're not going to change the nature of the tree itself.
Okay.
And so what you try to do is try to sculpt that tree in a direction, and part of it, the way you do that is by not freaking out and clipping the branch that just grew, by going, why don't you understand? It's like, you have 2, we get 2 bananas, dipshit. Like, you can't do that with him because his brain's not going to
You're absolutely right. I don't know why in the moment I forget that.
There's a very famous comedian. who's doing very well these days. So, you know, it's not my place to necessarily tell him how to do his business. But on a philosophical nature, I disagree with a basic premise is that he goes, I think the joke is, if 4 people are trying to leave the house and one of the people is holding everybody up because they won't put their shoes on, that person is an asshole.
Right.
If they're adults, I agree. But you can't overlay the psychology of an adult onto a child, or you're the asshole.
You're right.
You're an asshole. If you're expecting
And
a
I know that
4-year-old
joke,
to behave like an adult, you're an asshole. This child can't behave like an adult, or it will die if it's left on its own.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because I have this conversation with my husband a lot. He tries to, what's the square peg round hole? Like the 4-year-old into an adult.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That sounded weird, and into adult hole. I'm so sorry. I apologize. But you know what I mean? He's
But
always
enough about the Duggars.
Right. God. Oh. But I constantly have this conversation with Mike, and his theory, and a lot of people would say this, is that, well, if we just let him behave like a 4-year-old, then he'll get spoiled. And
I'm not saying you don't correct them.
Right.
But you do gentle correction, understanding that they don't understand you. You have to come at it from the perspective that
parenting is hard.
Yeah. You have to come at it from the perspective of this. I'm not talking to the same kind of brain I have. It doesn't operate on the same. You're expecting the same. Even that's why they say magical things every so often, where they go, "Oh shit, my kid just said something really profound."
Right.
That's because 3 weeks ago you said something that they totally did not get, but synapses have formed since then. Brain material has grown into place and is making a synaptic connection that it was not capable of making even 2 weeks ago. And it's gone, oh, I get what you were saying. It literally bumped around in its cul-de-sac looking for something to do.
Yeah.
So I gently and sometimes firmly correct my son.
Like, give me an example.
So very seldom does my son talk back to me for his own choice. I don't hit him, I don't spank him, I don't believe in corporal punishment at all. But there's a dad severity I apparently have that he gets. And it might be from the fact that if he wants to be put down, I'm strong enough to keep holding him the entire time. Whether he can kick and scream, but he's not going to flop all over the place. I'm strong enough to go, you're not going anywhere. If you want to get down, you say down, please. Like, I've trained him in that regard. Just say down, please, and I'll put you down. Say down, please. And he goes, nah, all he wants, until he says down, please. And then once he does, he gets it. Oh, okay. And then he's following an order based on what he wants and communication, not because I want him to be wrong, but because he needs to communicate what he needs better. And that's why they're frustrated in the first place. So, but sometimes, because of other things that happen in his other household, he either, and this is because part of his life is opaque to me. I don't have a relationship with his mom and what goes on in their household. He can get a little mouthy with females, and I don't like that, so I don't allow for that. So if he does that with my mom or any other female, if he starts getting belligerent, I have him come over to me. I have him tell me what he did. I explain to him how that hurts people's feelings, and he doesn't like it when his feelings are hurt, so he needs to understand. Think about it for a second. You know when the last time your heart hurt or you didn't feel good? You're making someone feel that way when you do that. And do you understand that? And even if I get a glimmer that he's even trying to understand, I'll say, good, you understand that? Now what I need you to do is you need to go over and you need to apologize to Gigi, which is we call his grandmother, or Summer, my girlfriend, or whomever. You need to go over and apologize to them. You need to apologize to them specifically. You go, I'm sorry I yelled, or I'm sorry I threw something, or whatever, because he's a toddler and they do those things. And then when you do that, you come back. Come back over immediately. After you do it, you come back to me. And then I say, thank you for doing that. I love you, and I'm glad you understand now. Even if he doesn't understand, because part of his brain is growing the I understood that, even if he doesn't.
Now,
It's
how
being
did you
told that.
learn this? Did you
I
read
made it
a
up.
book? You made it up. Okay.
I made it up because I knew
Is
that
this how you were raised?
No, I was left alone for big portions of time to think about it. But my mom was always super supportive, and my dad was a get off your ass kind of a guy. So I got both sides, but not in one person. You know, my dad had a great thing. Like, I had my problems with my dad when I was growing up, as all boys do with their dad. But there was one great thing that he did that I thank him for, is he said, if you hurt yourself or you're sick, we'll take care of you, but no pity. We're not going to pity you. We're going to heal you. We're going to take care of you, but we're not going to feel bad with you in that moment. No pity.
Why not?
Because it doesn't help you get better. We'll love you, but we're not going to pity you. We're not
Okay,
going to
is
pout.
empathy and pity are different?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We understand you're hurt. And
Okay.
they're going to feel it, but we're not going to get on a pity parade with you and go, poor little baby, poor little baby.
Okay. And do you do that with your kid?
Yeah, but I haven't said it. My dad was maybe, I was probably 11 or 12. I mean, he said that overtly to me, but I realized that's how I'd been raised at that point. And it was really helpful. It was really helpful.
Okay.
It was really like, I don't pity myself when I'm sick or ill or in a problem. I just fucking get up and do it.
Right.
Or I recognize that I'm incapable of fixing it right now and just soldier it out till I am. But I don't feel bad for myself.
I feel like that would help in stand-up.
It has to.
Right?
Yeah, it does already.
Shitty gigs.
There's no
a
such
bad
thing as a shitty
set.
gig.
There's no such thing as a shitty gig. Well, fuck.
No, I mean, if stand-up is learning to swim while drowning.
Okay.
It's if you look at it from that perspective, then they're all shitty gigs because they all are until you're at Olympic level, and even then you're like, I've got the next meet. Oh my God, how am I going to keep this up or whatever? The reality is as a stand-up, you're learning from each of these things. It's even if you're not consciously learning it, your nervous system is learning. Don't do that shit again. And as a comedian, we're massage therapists in the entertainment world. You know, and a massage therapist should never go to a person laying on the fucking thing. I'm sorry, I can't massage you. You're too tense. It's not the audience's fucking fault, man. I got a job to do. I know.
No, I know what you're saying, but there are
just
two.
don't like it. You don't want to like it because it takes too much responsibility. Right?
No, you're right. I know what you're saying. There are two different camps, though, in comedy, where some comedians, not
Lazy
that I
and strong. We got what? Weak.
Well,
and important. No, go ahead.
I don't like blaming the audience either.
Yeah.
But when I blame the quote audience, I don't think I'm blaming the individual people. Sometimes I'm saying the energy in here is just fucked.
I agree, but my job is energy.
Yes.
As a comedian.
But sometimes don't you ever go into a gig where, and again, this
I
is
used to when I was
parallels
17.
this parallels even parenting stuff, where you just go in and you're like, oh, okay, I see. Everything is stacked against me, and I still have to persevere, even though I'm in a ballroom where half the audience is 500 feet away from me.
And
they're
the mic
sitting
is terrible,
around
and
the
it's
mic.
boomy.
Yes,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
They're eating dessert. Someone just came up and did a speech about so and so, the president who died, and now comedy. So like the everything, the universe inside the room is a swirling pile of feces, and you have to go in there. And like you said, I get it. That's a great analogy. I have to massage a person who's too tense.
They need it more than anybody.
Yes.
Those people need it more than anybody.
But then you have the people that aren't paying attention, that are chatting, their backs are to you because they're sitting at bar mitzvah tables, which is what I call the round tables in a banquet hall or whatever. And it's like, how am I supposed to work under these circumstances?
You're supposed to bulldoze.
Well, I do. I personally do. I know some comics that are like, fuck this, and they hate it. I personally do, but that's what I would call a shitty gig. Like, if you were to work that gig, I would not say, oh, who books that? Like, I wouldn't be like, oh, I want to do that show. I'd be like, ooh, keep me away.
Well, that's not a show. That's the venue.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so sometimes it's not the individual people.
Metal bands shouldn't play high school proms. That has nothing to do with the prom or the band.
Right.
That's not a shitty gig. That's a mismatch. And a mismatch is fine, but don't do the mismatch again. And if you are going to do the mismatch again, then go, okay, we need a set that's for the mismatch. If we're going to be the metal band that plays proms, we need a prom set.
Got it.
Or don't do it.
Right.
That's it. I mean, it's simple. Turn it down. Turn it down. Or be the one person who can fucking murder it.
Yeah.
I mean, I again, that comes from you can be sick and we'll heal you, but we're no pity.
I like that. I kind of like that. You know, it goes hand in hand with like when your kid falls down, you don't make a big deal type of thing.
Yeah,
like
don't
my
freak
kid
out.
falls and
Oh.
I go, I saw you fell down the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
Last night, he was in the bathtub and he starts messing around. He loves to do this. And now I'm going to look at it differently because you're right. His
Yeah.
brain is jello.
Yeah.
But he's like sipping the bath water.
Yeah, they'll lick the bath
And
water all the time. Yeah.
I go, dude, just so you know, I mean, you know, make a choice, but just so you know, that's kind of gross.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like going to hurt you per se because we use pretty crunchy soap and stuff like that. Like it's not chemical-y, but it's just like, it's your ass juice that you're sitting in. You're just sitting in ass juice, drinking it. And I'll say that to him, you know what I mean? And also it's not safe what you're doing because he was kind of fucking around. All of a sudden, big, huge gulp right in his lungs. And he starts choking. And he's coughing. His face gets super red. I pull him out of the bathtub, which is so fucking hard to do with this big old belly when you have to move fast sometimes. Right. And I pull him out and I make sure he's okay. And he's coughing. He's crying. He's freaking out, the fear in his eyes. And I just kept really calm and I go, oh, yeah. Yeah, you choked, huh? Because you try to just, I don't want to make a big deal, but I was like, just get it out. Just go, get it out. But like make it.
Solve it. Yeah, the other thing too is you can't get too emotionally involved in it because if you looked panicked to them, then things are really shitty.
Yes.
The ship is sinking.
Right.
It's one thing if I can't swim, all of a sudden my parents have to pull me out of the tub or out of the pool or whatever. But if they're in the water with me and they're like, oh my God, what do we do?
Right.
All of a sudden the ship is going down.
Totally.
The one trust point I have, which is you, is freaking the fuck out. Nothing's okay.
Yeah. So I try to live by that.
I love him in such a way that my skin burns if he bumps his head. You know what I mean? Like I feel it's like the fucking Corsican brothers. I feel it. If he does it, it just, you know, I used to have this thing like I have the strongest stomach in the world. You can talk about anything you want at lunch. Nothing grosses me out. You know what the only thing that actually grosses me out is? An old man with a Band-Aid on his head. That's like on the top of his bald head, spotty head, big fucking scab with a Band-Aid on top of it. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, horrible.
Yeah.
Because there's only two ways that happen.
Oh.
There's only two ways that happen. And they both went, it's either Grandpa or Grandpa, and either somebody's beating him or he whacked himself. And both of them hurt me.
Yeah.
Inside, empathetically, physically, whatever. And my son has the same kind of reflex that I have. But I've had to fight that so much to make sure that he knows it's cool.
Yeah, yes.
And he's a tough little fucker now because of it. You know what I mean? Like he's rambunctious. He likes to wrestle. They even say that like you can judge a boy's grades in second grade. Like his grades will be higher, and you can tell more so by whether or not he does horseplay at home versus his grades in first grade.
What?
Why? If he horse plays at home, his grades will be better. Because there's a social dynamic in boys and how they work out the energy that's in them that horseplay helps.
Let me ask you a question then. My kid loves to do that with my husband.
Yeah.
They wrestle and they do all that stuff. Then all of a sudden, he hits a whiny point where either he's starting to feel defeated and he goes, I don't like that. Because he's starting to feel maybe like...
you got to let him win. Is your husband just constantly pinning him and holding him down and making him...
No, it's pretty...
You're a loser. You're a loser. You'll never take your old man. Does he do that?
No, but he has a point where he just like freaks out, where he's like, no, and then you're like, oh, well, this isn't fun now. Now you're just whining.
You gotta back off and play, and you gotta do it in rounds. If you know he gets to that point, you gotta stop the play before it ever reaches that point.
Yeah.
You got and distract.
But I think he moves
they're like
the
Alzheimer's
goal.
patients. You just gotta fucking beeline them somewhere else. They are. My mom's a nurse. She worked in home health services, which is for the state of Kentucky, going to all these places, make sure they're not putting out cigarettes on old people, and you know what I mean, and take cash in their Social Security checks, shit like that. And so there's a lot of people with Alzheimer's and dementia and that kind of stuff. And it's the exact same thing with your brain is jelly, and then it goes to jelly, and in the middle you got a nice arc. I've always said that life, you start your life shitting your pants, you end your life shitting your pants, and in the middle you try to mitigate the number of times you shit your pants. That's life. So the same way you get an Alzheimer's person or a person with dementia back on point and focused, and keep them from panicking or going in a psychological circle, is the exact same thing you do with a toddler. And so if you know he has that limit, if you know he reaches that point and he's like, abort the wrestling early.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Start getting out. If the first sign of it, play like another toy or whatever, it's almost dinner time. Even if it's just take him off the thing and he wants to go back to it.
Right.
Once he goes back to it, his brain hits a reset point and he'll be playing again.
I try to do that. I try to go, it's a water break. Everyone.
Do it before that, though.
Before, yeah.
Abort early. That's what I would say. Get him out early. That way he'll never get to that, whatever the trigger point is. Get out before the trigger point. And you'll have to watch to know what that is. But if you can play for 10, 15 minutes, at 8 minutes, go, all right, you guys, settle down,
Right. Because I feel like sometimes, I have a 4-year-old and then I have a 40-something-year-old, and I have to split the difference sometimes. You know what I mean? To be like,
sure.
You guys, why? Like, I come in literally talking to my husband and my 4-year-old almost the same way. I'm like, guys, why does it have to come to this point? Mm-hmm. And my husband's like, well, he started it. Like, he's like...
That I can't answer.
That's a whole nother...
That's you like younger men in some form. Just to a...
But I don't know. I think that's interesting. I'm going to see what what my husband's test scores are. But is it true? Do you believe... This is kind of going off point.
It's okay.
But
I like
just
that.
Because you said second grade testing, have you heard this dealio, the third grade testing... that they take the test scores that kids, boys and girls, I'm going to assume, put out in the third grade to know what kind of jails they should build 20 years from then? Have you heard that theory?
I suppose, but understand that 20 years ago, imagine technology, life, and 20 years ago, you couldn't make a living doing apps. You couldn't be a programmer, which would, basically be Asperger's in the fucking late 80s.
Yeah.
The lifespan of human beings in 20 years, we've gone from an expected 78 years old in the United States to an expected 99-year-old.
Oh, Jesus.
In 20 years. We will go from an expected 99 to an expected 160 in the next 20.
Come on.
Dead serious.
No.
Dead serious.
There's no way.
There's total way. As a matter of fact, that's low.
So they're going to have like 80-year fixed mortgages.
No, money's going away too. But that'll be that's about 60 to 80 years away.
What do you mean money's going away?
Once you move away from a resource-based economy, which is what we are now, oil, gold, gas, coal, that kind of stuff, water to some degree. Once you move past a permanent resource-based economy where you have hubs of money, like I'm sitting on oil, you need it. I'm sitting on coal, you need it.
Right.
Once we move away from that permanently, which we are doing, to a more like kind of Elon Musk, Tesla, Google, Apple kind of way where, your baselines are covered on a sociological level, Star Trek style, and if you want to make money to buy stuff later, you can, and everybody else just kind of has a baseline existence, which is where we're headed. Like it or not, that's what's going to happen. You shift into a different psychological makeup as well. I happen to think there are no adults on the planet, that I think human beings never reach adulthood before we die. I think 80-year-old is still a child in human mentality, and that...
Are you pitching me a movie right now?
No, and that like I do I'm doing a show this year for the SENS Foundation, which are the 1,000-year lifespan people, and they've been working with the guy like Ray Kurzweil at Google, and all the AI people and stuff, and they're looking at a legit 1,000-year lifespan for humans within a couple hundred years, and raising the human lifespan a couple hundred years in the next 50. Mainly because a lot of them want to be around to see it. And what's happening is Moore's Law, and stop me if I'm getting too technical, Moore's Law, which is attributed to technology, meaning that every 18 months computer chips get half as expensive and twice as fast and half in size.
Right.
Which has been happening since the late 60s, is now attributing to biology. And so cancer cures and that kind of stuff will reach a critical mass where most disease, and aging being one of them, will be cured effectively within our possible lifetime. So their theory, and this stands mechanically, is that the first person lived to be 250 years old is alive right now. It's probably a girl, and she's probably 15 years old. And the first person lived to be 1,000 years old is only 10 years younger than she is. And so we have no idea what 20 years from now life will be like. Because if you think of pre-iPhone and whatever, think of pre-Instagram and Twitter and all how we're socially interacting.
Yeah.
Elon Musk says we're actually growing a nervous system as a society through the internet. That's what the internet is. Our society is becoming an organism in and of itself, and it's gone from the single-celled organism, disconnected human beings speaking one-on-one. You used to only be able to communicate cell to cell, one person talking to another person. Then we got phones, which was a rudimentary way of limited communication, which is cell lines. Now we can communicate pictures and thoughts, blogging and ideas. We're not that far away from, they can record dreams, which means consciousness. You'll be able to send your dreams, or if you were thinking about someone you love, you can send them the thought you had if you want. That's coming. I'm not even making it up or even saying it might, or science fiction says that, but it's coming. And therefore, you can't wrap your head around, you can't tell what a third grader today's world is going to be like in 15 years, much less 10. Go watch Microsoft just put out these hologlasses, which are like Google Glass on steroids. That you wear around your home or whatever, that can project stuff onto flat surfaces, and you can hologram people in your environment or whatever. Those are going to be contacts in 10 years. Understand, you don't know the world your child is going to grow into, so adaptability is the only skill that you can actually give them that's worth a fuck. Because it's not saying, you need to know this, isn't true. Because everything you need to know is becoming partially obsolete, except for personal resilience, adaptability, strength of character, those kind of things. Those are the only things you can put in. Anything mechanical, fuck you. That's gone.
Oh my God.
So you can't say a third grader who's weird or mentally off one particular, who hates authority or something like that, is going to end up in fucking jail. Because Elon Musk hates authority. The president, every president we have hates authority. That's why they become the authority. You can't become a leader without despising authority, because you would never let anybody be above you. A leader needs to be the one on top.
Right.
And so to be a leader, you have to hate the idea of authority.
Right.
On that level. Stand-ups. We all hate authority.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
If you marked us at third grade, there's no fucking way I'd look like a guy who's in 3 unions, has 4 jobs at any given time, and is a quality father. You know what I mean? You couldn't judge from me in 3rd grade in Peaks Mill, Kentucky.
And who just used his thoughts to pull one of his balls out.
Yeah, right. Actually, you've been doing that.
I have been. I haven't tried.
Sexokinesis.
I've tried so hard.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, are you
Other than that, I have no opinion. That's going to be the name of my next special. Other than that, I have no opinion.
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
You don't know.
Can I move in with you?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to start a commune. I think I should start my own church.
You should.
Church of the Elevated Mind or something. It's like, It's like Joe Rogan's World, but without the DMT and acid and mushrooms.
But you'd still have those floating tanks because those I heard are pretty kick-ass.
Oh, sensory deprivation tanks?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, let me
Great
just
idea.
end on this because I know you probably have to go because you have 4 jobs at any time.
Yeah.
Are you also like, because all of that is mind-blowing, awesome. I love that kind of stuff.
Me too.
I love it.
That's what my goal now in my stand-up is to start parking lot conversations. You know how you ever get caught, watch a movie or something, or go to a lecture, or
Right.
have a college class or whatever, and you end up leaning against the car talking till 3 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Can I tell you the last time I did that? It's been a while since I
Yeah.
did that. Last time I did that was at the ArcLight after Fahrenheit 9/11.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
That's the last time. I haven't done. I love those.
I have them all the time, but I usually
Yeah.
instigate them.
I
I'm usually
see.
the person that people are hanging around to talk about that
Right.
because I love that kind of conversation. But the reason I thought of it, what really clicked, was a movie called Mind Walk. You ever seen that
Nope.
movie? Sam
Nope.
Waterston and John Hurt, and I forget the actress in it with them because she's a French actress, and I didn't know her name in the first place when the movie came out. But it's like My Dinner with Andre kind of style movie. It's 3 people. A poet, an astrophysicist, and a politician walking around Mont Saint Michel in France, which is this castle that every day the tide comes up and makes it an island, and every day the tide goes down, and you can drive the road in and out of it. And they're talking about systems thinking and how we need a shift in paradigm from Cartesian dualism, and which is the idea that everything has parts and you can take those parts apart and put another part in and it's fine, to systems thinking, that everything is connected somehow. And it was fascinating. And afterwards I walked out of the theater feeling like my head was so big it wouldn't fit out of the door. And I ended up having this conversation with the people I was there with, and we were literally leaning against our car, and it was 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
If I could do this with my stand-up, I would have really achieved something.
It's hard to make a dick joke about shifting the paradigm.
I don't think so. I
No?
think you could do it. Pregnant lady,
Yeah,
female of the species,
I am.
of which there's a narrow field as far as stand-ups go. Although increasingly, it's ironic that in the minority and gender sensitive aspect of the arts, which we very much are, and I think that's one of the wonderful things about the arts, is that we overdo it sometimes. And you have literally, I think it's like whatever, 13% of the populace is Asian American, and 50% of nightly newscasts are there's an Asian person as the co-host or some nonsense. It's like
Right.
it's like 42% or something, like large number. Like half of your nightly news teams have an Asian co-host, as if it's referential to who's watching.
Right.
And it so isn't. You know what I mean? But it's how. That's why. By the way, that's why redneck white people. You're like, why the fuck are they freaking out? Why do they feel like there's only 15% of the country's black?
Yeah.
Only 12%. Why do
I
they
know.
feel like they're surrounded? Because when they turn on the nightly news and the weather guy's black and
Yeah.
and 50% of the news team is Asian, they're like, when did we stop being the people running everything?
Right,
Everybody here's white. Why is the local TV station representative of more diverse than their reality, and they freak out because of that?
Yeah.
And the same, there's we don't need a white male comedian night by any stretch of the imagination, but there is an element of percentage of female comedians specifically is very narrow. There's
Yeah.
very few. So when you have an all female comics night, a lot of the male comics are like, "Why don't we have our own?" Not realizing they have their own night
Every
all
night.
the time. Right.
Every night.
Right.
My kid will ask me if I was the only girl.
Sure.
If I the next day, how was your show last night, Mommy? And I was like, oh, it was great. And he was like, were you the only girl? He'll ask me that, and if I went up last. I don't know why he puts
He wants you to be the headliner. He knows.
but for him, because he's 4, going last is bad.
Oh, right. That's
Yeah.
like being picked last.
Right, exactly.
Right.
And I go, no,
tell him
last is
no, I
great
didn't,
too.
Yeah, you go, yeah, I went last. I headlined.
I know.
You need
Sometimes
to
I go last. Sometimes I go in the middle. Sometimes
Yeah.
I'm a woman. Sometimes I'm not. Whatever. It's fluid.
Is it?
Well, I'm trying to
it's-
fit in. And
Sure, right.
if it's a shitty room, I pull my cock out a couple times. Just to
Oh,
try
that's why they do it.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I don't, no.
God
Yeah.
damn it, Hal Sparks.
I know. It's so much to talk about.
You're great.
I know. Yeah.
God damn it, you're great.
Here's the thing. It's not. First of all, it's not an accident, but also it's not inborn. I'm not special because of anything, any genetic aspect. Certainly not.
No, but there are interesting things that you're passionate about. That's what I just tell people. I just, you know what? Find someone. My friend is single right now. She's like, I can't just find someone who is interesting and is passionate about something. And
that's hard though.
But
that's hard.
It is, but I think it's hard because of the people that they are surrounding themselves with. But I go to bars. Well, how are you? What?
Well, I don't.
Why are you going to a bar?
Yeah, I don't
to
drink.
Find
I
someone.
never had an alcoholic drink in my life. So
no, come on.
Never.
Never.
Not a one.
What?
Never.
NyQuil.
That's true. Huh?
Benadryl.
Nope,
Benadryl.
nothing.
No.
No drugs.
Are you crunchy also? Because I don't know if that goes hand in hand with being, progressive, liberal,
Well,
Democrat.
I'm a vegan right now.
So that's a little crunchy.
I've been vegan since January because I'm putting on muscle.
Right.
And I decided to do it in a way that I wanted to put on muscle without getting fat. So one of the ways to do it was, vegan's a good way to do that.
A vegan protein instead of an animal.
Right.
Got it.
And no animal products to make you kind of swole and puffy.
And do you buy like more Whole Foods type of?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, I mean, that's the
So
one
you
thing
try
you
to
can
avoid.
The fuel that's going into your body is the one thing you can control.
And what about your kid? Like, are you raising him a little bit more crunchy?
No, my
like organic food for him?
I do organic food for him. I get most of my stuff at Whole Foods, or I'll take him to places like Lemonade and places where he can start picking stuff that's the better version of what he wants.
Right.
He wants pizza, but and he wants and at this point he was having this is a long story, but he was having trouble gaining weight at one point. And so to me, all bets were off until you stabilize and you get to a point where your weight is, strong enough. You're going to eat whatever will go in your friggin' gullet short of junk food. I'm not taking you to McDonald's. I'm not giving you soda because sugar and all the sugar that's in that food will crank up your metabolism anyways. You'll just turn whatever you're eating to ash and it won't become muscle and fat and skin and nails and hair and whatever. And so I started, doubling him up on caloric intake, that kind of stuff. So I didn't have a problem with him consuming meat and dairy if he would take it in. And I also believe that, again, you're not dealing with an adult, so you have to deal with the ethical dietary choices your kid has to make on their own at some point.
Right.
And you could introduce them to that, because he didn't understand. Just recently, he asked about where cheese comes from, for example. And I said, well, cheese is an aged form of milk. They take milk and they process it and add enzymes to it, and eventually it will grow into cheese. It's a byproduct. It's not, something that it's not a cheese tree. It doesn't come up, and we joked about the cheese tree for about a week. His brain is starting to move into that where does stuff come from, where does stuff go thing. And so we'll but we're very specific in our family. My dad's an architect, mom's a nurse. We're honest about stuff.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy and all that kind of stuff for a while because it's fun when you're a kid.
Right, but then one day you'll crush it.
When he's 30,
you'll crush his
I'll
dreams.
let him in on
Yeah. You're crushing my dreams because we have to go. Fuck, we're so over. I'm so sorry.
No,
are you?
No.
You're all right?
I believe me. Whenever there's a situation where I'm allowed to talk, I block out a lot of time.
I just love it. Mm-hmm. I love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
for
my
coming
pleasure.
on to the podcast.
Well,
Where can
thanks for
people
having me.
find you?
At Hal Sparks on
YouTube?
Twitter.
Hal Sparks.
My YouTube is 5 Park 5 Nation. It's just Sparks with 5s instead of S's.
Okay.
All those links are on my. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll see all that stuff pop up. My Facebook page is the Hal Sparks Fang page because I have kind of sharp teeth. That's where that came from. And then, halsparks.com is my website, although that's going through a revamp because I'm going to start doing the grid, that new AI website thing that's coming up. It's supposed to work really cool, so we'll see.
That makes you live to 1,000.
No, that's different.
No, that's different. Okay.
But yeah, that's a whole other conversation.
If we live to 250, can we promise to hang out?
Yeah.
Like in our 200s?
I'm for it.
Oh, that's the sweetest thing.
Yeah.
Thank you
I love that.
so much.
You know how interesting we will be at that point?
I hope. Or just robots. We'll be just half robotic.
There'll be a version of you that might be a robot.
Yeah.
I'll leave you with this. This you can think about. First of all, we'll never send people into deep space because why bother? You'll send downloaded consciousness from human beings that are alive now. You'll download it into a computer's mainframe. Instead of having AI, you'll have your brain inside a computer, inside a robot fixture. That'll be very organic looking and very humanoid, but not actually be a person that can be damaged the same way. And will, stay in stasis for a long time. So a version of your consciousness will reach a far-off galaxy 20,000 years from now, land on a planet, have its own life, and do its own thing based on what you want to discover, based on the intellect you had when it left. That being said, if you were to travel, let's say, to the nearest livable planet, which science has discovered that 148 in the last 6 months, there's a potential 8.2 billion livable planets in our universe, in our galaxy alone, much less the universe. Just our galaxy, 8.2 billion possible livable planets. Okay, mathematically, it's impossible there isn't life. Impossible.
Right.
Just get used to that idea too.
At least basic cable.
Yeah.
They have basic
Yeah, there's
cable.
Amish on another planet that we could totally fuck with.
Yes.
We could be the aliens and anally probe them. Wouldn't that be
Yeah.
fun? So you get into a ship and you want to go to one of those places. Okay, you're going to live 500 years. How many fucking movies and video games can you play en route before you go? And how long can you stay in a dream state in a stasis tube before you went completely insane? Probably not long, because the human brain is pretty complex. So you could sleep for 60 years. You'd have to fucking get up and do something, right?
Yeah.
Your body's got to move around or do something every so often, or at least think it is, to keep its cells going. Your brain can't tell the difference between something real and something imagined. Same muscles fire. If you have a dream, you just have a chemical in your body that keeps you from punching yourself in the face. That's why you feel like you're walking in marshmallow when you're running in a dream, is because your character in your dream is running, but your body is telling your real muscles to knock it the fuck off so you don't kill yourself. That's why it feels like marshmallow. Why can't I run? That's what that's from. So you're in a dream state traveling to another planet. You got 500 years to get there. You could watch some movies. You could play some games. But you'd need something that was longer, right, to keep yourself busy, occupied, psychologically, so you wouldn't go nuts. At that point, technology will be advanced enough where you can download consciousness from people who either are alive or have passed. So somebody goes when they die, and they know they're going to die. The last thing that you would go is go to this church-like experience where you upload your consciousness into this big mainframe or into the cloud or into a robot or into whatever housing they're going to put them in. This is not an if. This is a when. So you're traveling in space. You could take any of these lives, any of them, and download them into your brain. So you would live this life out 80 years while you're in stasis. The life of and you might even be able to get race memory, meaning that you can get the memories of your grandfather out of your cells. So you could know what it was like to live in the 1800s or the 1600s or whatever, going back deep enough. So you're laying in this stasis tube, and you're on your way to a planet, and you go maybe 4 or 5 lifetimes in normal human years that you'd be downloading. 100 years as this person, 80 years as this person, maybe 20 years as another person who was a military vet or something like that, and you died, and you experience that, and then you wake up for a little while, stretch your legs in the ship, go back, pick another one, get back in. There is no way scientifically to prove that's not happening to you right now. That you aren't really already in that spaceship tube, reliving the life of me or you.
What if I just pulled my face off right now?
Then that would have had to been something that person did. Or, see, it's not going to be a recording like a movie. It's not going to be their exact life. It'll probably be like a video game where you'll have variety, and that's why you have options in your life. And you can make it into whatever you want. I
just remove my whole face.
Like a fembot?
Yeah.
The first pregnant fembot? Yeah, that's true. And science has discovered that if you look up the holographic universe, the potential that we are living in a hologram, which is entirely possible.
Well, I knew you were going to say that because I had already downloaded your consciousness.
Right.
So I knew you were going to ask that.
Uh-huh.
And I want to go live on your commune.
It'll be so fun. I promise.
I want to go live.
That's true. There's no way to prove that you're not living a recording of this person's life.
Let's start a Hal Sparks commune page, and we're all gonna
join in. I'll just drop loads of wisdom every day.
You're gonna drop loads.
Oh yeah, make my own Jim Jones babies.
Holy shit!
Yeah, there's no way to prove that you're you.
I mean, but I have no.
Nope.
But I got the thing.
Nope.
I went to the DMV.
No.
But I peed in a cup.
Nope.
No. Oh shit.
Still doesn't prove it. It's all a big hologram, technically speaking.
And now I know why you don't put cream in your coffee. It all came around.
Yeah. I don't do the drinking, and this is true. The drinking, one of the things that you can extend your life with is caloric restriction, not having too many calories. And since I'm trying to put on weight, I can't exactly drop my calories down. So one of the ways you do that is through intermittent fasting. People want to look that up, they can. But it's you don't eat the first 6 hours, you're up. You
What?
Eat too many calories the first 6 hours, you're up.
You don't eat.
And so you either you can take supplements, but no calories. So water and black coffee is one of the ways because it's an appetite suppressant slightly. So there you go.
All right. Well, I need to take a nap.
Yeah.
After all of this
You're
information,
Yeah.
I feel like I just downloaded you.
Yeah.
Wow. Hal Sparks, let's put our nipples together and hug
I love
and
it.
say thank you.
Oh yeah.
And I appreciate
thank you
it.
for having me on and allowing me to speak freely, as it were.
Yeah. And I'm going to just bring my kid over to you.
Yeah. How old is yours?
He's 4.5.
Perfect. Let's have a friggin'
And-
play dates.
And I'm just gonna let you figure it out.
Yeah.
And I'll watch.
Play dates, and then
And I'll just take notes on how not to lose his mind when he doesn't put his shoes on.
Our kids are when they're roughhousing, and your kid starts to be a whiny little bitch.
Yeah,
My
that's
kid will
smart.
go, "What the fuck's the matter with you?"
Right.
He'll say, "Cowboy the fuck up."
Yeah.
In his own toddler speak.
Sack up. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
And yeah.
And then the Soviet will come out, and my kid.
I literally taught my kid to say, "Get up, sucker!" When he knocks me down and I fall on the ground, he stands over me and he goes, "Get up, sucker!"
And I told
so
my
funny.
kid about nickels and how they ruin everything.
Yeah. Right. He's a nickel. We don't talk to him.
Mikey Flynn.
Yeah.
Michael, are you still awake?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, hey, what have you been doing back there?
I'm enjoying the show. I love this episode. I love what Hal's talking about, all the futurist stuff.
But you don't want to show your face?
I'm here.
There it is. There it is. Mikey Flynn, for everyone that
Awesome.
knows, sits behind a cubicle and like
Yeah,
a what's the animal that pops her head up and
A meerkat?
it's
No.
like kind of like a meerkat, I guess,
Yeah.
looking for a
Or
falcon.
or
No, a hedge. No, not a hedgehog.
Hedgehogs?
Not
Sure.
a not
Gophers?
a gopher.
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
I'm all right. Don't nobody.
Hal Sparks, get out of here.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. So that was Hal, right? And I still didn't want it to end. And I think we could have gone on for another hour and a half easily. I had so many more questions. God damn it. But you can still find him and you can still connect with him on the Twitter at Hal Sparks, Hal Sparks. And of course, he has a YouTube page and you can find him on Facebook. He has a Fang page. Is that what he called it? A Fang page? He's great. And you know what? We do set list together a lot. So look for him on that show because that is a really fun improv show that's all off the top of your head. And where am I going to be? Well, I'm going to be doing stuff. Look, just because this belly's getting bigger does not mean that I'm stuck on the couch. I'd love to be, but I got to keep moving and shaking. So check KiraComedy.com. I know I have to update it, but I do have spots coming up. I am going to be doing a lot of set list because I just shot my special. So I kind of don't want to do my material at all. And I'm in the middle of writing new stuff. So it's like this no man's land that I'm living in right now. So, come out to, let's see, when is this going to come out? Nerd Melt, June 27th. I think this might come out before then. Maybe. If not, you missed an amazing set list show at the Meltdown Theater. I'm doing that. I'm going to be doing, I'm doing shows in July. Even though I'm due in July, I'm still going to do shows. So come out to the Hollywood Improv July 10th. For another set list show. And I'm around. So come find me. You know, until I push this human out of me, I'm gonna be moving and shaking. So connect with me on the Twitter at Kira Comedy. Connect with All Things Comedy on the Twitter, sitting right now. in the very perfectly air-conditioned studio with Mikey Flynn. What's your Twitter, Mike?
Oh, I'm real Mike Flynn.
The real Mike Flynn?
Yeah.
Are there some fake ones?
I think so. There's lots of us out there, Irish.
Really? That doesn't seem like a common name at all.
They're all cousins. It's fine.
Considering my Mike is Mike Finn Finnegan. Yeah, please, the real Mike Finn, guys. Don't follow those posers. By the way, Michael, I found a fake Facebook page under my name. This is like the third or fourth. Why do they care to start a fake Facebook page of me?
Write to him. See what's up.
Should I try to add myself?
Yeah, there you go.
Seems a little masturbatory. I try to click on myself over and over again. But come find me and come at us and go to my Facebook page for the podcast, which is the Kira Soltanovich Show. And I don't know what's going to happen when I do have this kid. I'm just giving everyone a heads up on episodes, so bear with me. I might do just some solo shows. We'll see. I might have to start doing some from the house. I don't know. We're going to play it by ear. But just giving everyone a heads up on what's happening with the podcast. Thanks for listening. Thanks for giving us stars on iTunes. Thanks for being great fans. And you know what? Go re-listen. Right now, you just listened to Hal Sparks. Go back again. You missed some stuff. Go. Right now. Okay. Bye.